Yo, I am Dylan de Heer, one of the co-founders of Square One, and today I'm very excited to introduce you all to Roughly. Roughly is our latest plugin for Figma. It just launched, and essentially it helps you turn any of your sketches, ugly drawing, simple illustration, or anything you've just put to paper into a more refined version of that sketch. Whether it needs to be a realistic photo, a 3D render, another type of illustration, different style, it's all there. So what I want to do as well is use 4 very different types of illustrations here to show you how Roughly can help you turn those images into a new style. And once you find the style that you like, help you create more images in the same series. It's supposed to help you create mood boards faster, iterate faster on illustrations you're using for your app, website, or book, and offer you a way to really have some fun with the frames and the designs that you've already built. Let's start off with this first sketch. We're looking at a pair of sneakers, simple pair of sneakers, hand draw. I downloaded this image somewhere. I'm sorry, I don't know who created it. If you know, tell me, and I'll make sure that we credit the people behind this illustration. I'll select a frame, and as you can see in our plugin, the frame is selected. It's called Sample 1. It shows us the dimensions of the frame we selected and has a few buttons that allow us to define the kind of image we're trying to create. First, I'm going to select the focus, the thing I'm trying to create. In this case, it's a pair of shoes. It's these focus areas here. They're only here to help guide the AI into a specific direction, but it doesn't really limit the styling, so to speak. It only tells the AI, hey, we're trying to create some architecture or a human being or some sort of product. It's quite vague, but if you feel it's limiting in any sort of way, please let us know and we'll expand this over time or change it altogether. It's still very early days. So in this case, we're trying to create a pair of shoes in great favor of 3D images. I love 3D images, different render styles, and so forth. I just selected the style that I want to work in. And once I go to the third one, here's where I can really fine-tune the properties of my image. So we select a focus, we select a style that we're trying to create, and then in the properties, based on our selection, we'll see the properties that we can add to our image. So we select choose as a focus and 3D as a style. And if I change the style to illustration, you'll find illustration in the properties. In here, there's a whole set of little tweaks that helps me focus the AI towards a specific style. So I'm saying, well, you know what? The focus is shoes and they're sneakers. And in my mind, they're quite outdoorsy. So not too athletic, not formal. They're outdoorsy. When it comes to the materials, it could have some suede, canvas. It could maybe have some rubber. Not quite sure yet. And then I want them to be medium height. I mean, they're quite high, right? I like that. We'll also select some 3D properties. I want the render style to be somewhat stylized with studio lighting. I like this clean setup. The materials to be kind of matte, not too shiny. The environment could be outdoor, I suppose, would work quite nicely. I'll go with that for now. And hit the generate button and see what comes out of it. Generating an image Can take a little bit of time. We're using the GPT Image 1 model from AI, and depending on their queue, the rate limits, etc., they will, it will dictate how much time this actually does take. Usually it's within 15 to 60 seconds or so. I'll skip forward to the generating. As you can see, the model is quite inspired by all the jiggly lines in the background. It's taking that as a lot of inspiration in the render here as well. But because of the outdoorsy style that we're trying to create, I feel like it tries to lean too far into another direction than I would like. So I'm gonna go back and to change some of the properties. Instead of outdoor, I want the environment to be more studio. I want the shoes to focus on a casual athletic kind of setup. The materials can stay the same. Maybe I'll leave the height open so that it takes it back more from the drawing. All right, I like these way more. The colors are very nice, and you can see how it's taking a lot of the shapes quite neatly into the image. I like this one for sure. Now, I can imagine you're thinking as well, these shoes are quite detailed in their drawing, and I personally cannot draw like that when I'm drawing. The question is, how much does the sketch input affect the eventual output of the model? If you put in a lot of detail, it will look at the details, but if you don't, you will still get a high quality image. In my case, it's a monster, and I want it to be in 3D because I like it. Let's see. My monster is a demon, an elemental demon, maybe. And it's colossal. It's huge. It has horns. It has, let's see, it has fangs, scales. And it looks absolutely intimidating and terrifying. In 3D, we're looking to create something stylized, slightly photorealistic, with natural and dramatic light. We'll leave the material types alone. We don't want to influence it too much. And it's definitely outdoor. And sometimes I select the fantasy. It can also make it too dreamy. So this time I'm leaving it alone. And I'm just going to generate and see what happens. Oh, okay. There we go. That is quite terrifying. But it did a great job. It really looked at the angry brows and had what are they called? I suppose these are the fangs. Added horns, even though we didn't draw it, but we selected it. And even shape-wise, it's still quite close. It knows that we intended to have a green body. So that's pretty cool. If we wanted to go in a completely different direction, we could just select this frame. It's still a monster. It's just a drawing of a monster. We're drawing it with colored pencils, with light in a cross-hatching style, and the details kind of like a sketch level, and it'll create something completely different. There we go. See, this is completely different, but you can see how much it is inspired from the original image. I wanted to show you a few more use cases because now we have generated some stickers, we've created some monsters, which they have their purpose, but it can also be applied in very different ways. You can use it for architecture, for designing your interior, game characters, maybe create a mood board of scenes for a movie that you're working on. It's really as wild as you can imagine. Anything that needs some visual exploration. For example, we'll take sample 4 here, which is focused on architecture. Maybe we'll need a photographic imagination of what the sketch will look like if we actually build the house. We can do that too. Say we take a wide angle lens, or not wide angle, telephoto, and we add natural light. It's soft. And soft, we have some depth, deep depth of field with bokeh. Bit of tilt shift could be cool. It's a wide shot, low angle, in digital, and the architecture itself is, well, it's a house. It's minimalist, modern, a little bit industrial, where they use a lot of concrete and glass. See, and it's completely new. You can tell how well the model is looking at all those lines and the little details. Using a lot of glass and the concrete for the outline, the tilt shift makes it look a bit like the miniature, but it does well. That's pretty cool. Now, we covered the main functionalities of the plugin, but there's a few features kind of hidden. You have to look around for them to help you take a step further. Sometimes you have two images and all you want to do is let the AI figure out how to merge them together, not define the styles too much, or just merge them. It could be like you have cool shoes and a character and you want to merge them together, or two different characters in different scenes, but actually you want to make it one scene. You can do that quite easily. This feature is slightly unstable depending on how far apart the images are in style and context, but it will always try to merge things. Let's take two of our samples here. Let's say I want to merge sample 3 here because we skipped it so far, and we want to merge it with these cool sneakers. And so here what you see is if you select 2 frames, the plugin moves to merge mode, and all you have to do is press merge and see what happens. Wow, I'm actually surprised with how well of a job it managed to do, since those two images are so far apart. It turned the sneakers slightly into paper mode, and I feel like we're looking at some Paper Mario kind of character. So that's pretty funny. Let's see if we can create something else that are, how about the architecture and the monster? See, so here it had a little bit more trouble, but still it tries. It's quite funny. You just gotta really have a play around with that. Now I want to go over 2 more features, and then I'll leave you guys to play around and just hit this request feature button if you have some feedback or a great idea. If it sounds like a good idea, we'll prioritize it. Let's see. So the first one is we have tried to keep you out of the prompt as much as possible to help you focus on the drawing, select a few criteria, and then generate a nice image so that you can iterate much quicker. However, sometimes these properties can be limiting. You sort of want to express yourself in a very specific way. Now, you can do that by adding a prompt to your artboard. So if you add a text layer, it says man with red hair and a blue shirt, or make it a bit smaller for visibility sake. It will add this text. It will take this text as an input prompt, and it will not show up on your image. So you can just grab this human. I'll save photography, leave everything open for now. I'll accept. Let me check. Material soft. Sure. And it generate. and it should give us a render of a man with red hair and a blue shirt holding a huge credit card. There, it leans a bit more towards ginger, but you get the gist. It tries to take your input prompt and generate a nice image. Now, the last feature I'll show you is this one. Here under settings, if you want, you can generate any image with a transparent background. So let's turn that on and generate the man with the red hair and the blue shirt once more. And there we go. So as you can see, it has a transparent background. You can add anything behind it that you want. And it should all work nicely together. All right, guys, I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you all for watching. I hope this helps you get started with Roughly. I hope it gives you an idea of what we're trying to accomplish and get you away from the prompt and just focus on creating really nice images and renders. Thanks for watching. Cheers.